This is probably going to be one of my favorite topics for this show of all time, because what we're going to be talking about today is how we last year created 1,924 inbound marketing driven deals in our HubSpot as a B2B agency. This is just an amazing topic because we get to talk
This is
about
a show-off
everything.
episode.
Yeah, it is. It is because we get to talk about what worked
Look at how
for
good
us
we
the
are.
last year. So the title of this episode is not "Here are the 15 things we did that created like no deals and basically was just a waste of money." We can do that episode as well. Like,
Yeah, we should.
let's do
we
that.
should.
Yeah, let's do that one day. But these are all the things that actually worked for us the last year. And it's not only the basis of the two of us, because if that was the only marketing we had, we probably wouldn't have gotten 1,924 deals in our HubSpot last year, if I'm being honest. Yeah.
But first of all, because when people hear the word deal, I think a lot of people probably think that it's a closed deal. So let's start off by defining what a deal is in Obsidian. What do we look as a deal? And that is someone who shows interest or expresses their interest for one of our services. So if I just start cold calling, we don't do that. But if I just did that to a lot
I
of
think you
different
should do
companies,
that. I think you should do that. I'd like to
I
see how
probably
that would
should.
work out. Yeah.
I probably should. And they don't take the phone or they don't express their interest, it won't be created
dare
as a
they?
deal. Yeah. But if someone writes to us through LinkedIn or on our email or sign us up for an audit or something, that shows some interest. That is a deal created. And then we obviously have different stages towards the goal of a closed deal, but that is the definition of a deal.
That's the thing. So a deal is when we have a conversation about purchasing something and it's initiated by the client. So us saying we want to sell something is not a deal. Them saying they want to buy something, that counts as a deal. And historically, we've had a close rate of a bit more than 50% of the deals we actually do create. It takes an average of 64 days from when we create a deal until it's eventually marked as closed, sometimes less, sometimes a lot more, but an average of 64 days. And the purpose of our own marketing in Obsidian is to be able to create more of these conversations, because we know that we have some really skilled people. And when we initiate those conversations, an average of 50% of them, a bit more, actually becomes clients. So we consider the role of us in the marketing department of Obsidian to be able to create events and ads and all of the other stuff that we're doing and going to be walking through this episode that will allow us to create more of these conversations, create more of these deals. I think our closing rate is sufficiently high, so we actually just meet more deals so we can keep growing the company. And we're doing a lot of different stuff in order to actually do this. We have so many initiatives rolling, and some of them are actually working pretty well. And we've structured this episode in like an upper funnel, middle funnel, and bottom funnel. And then we're going to be walking through some new initiatives that we're going to be trying this year. And some of them we've already started to try and do. But let's start with the upper funnel. And the reason why I want to start there is that this is actually where most of our initiatives are happening. So I think when a lot of people think of like how to generate more leads, they would think of bottom funnel initiatives. So they would think like, who can we call? Where can we do outreach? Where can we send Facebook traffic to a direct response landing page? And we do some of this stuff and it does work for us. But would you not agree that the majority of our marketing effort is actually happening in the upper part of the funnel?
Completely. And when we look at the spend going towards it and the time spent on it, obviously it's the upper funnel, but it's also the part of the funnel that is the hardest for us to actually measure.
Yes.
So we have to trust ourselves, and this is the right thing. But it's quite hard to actually measure it. But that is obviously where we spend the most time and the most money as well.
So if we're looking at our upper funnel marketing, where would you like to start? Like, what's your favorite initiative of what we're doing, and why is that?
Well, I'm gonna choose our podcast because that's the one I have the biggest role in.
Yeah.
So we have. Well, is it? We are based in Denmark,
Yes.
and when you say the Nordics, it's Denmark, Sweden, Finland, Norway, and I think when we look at that part of Scandinavia, we have probably the biggest marketing podcast in all of Scandinavia. We have 20 to 25,000 listeners every single month, and we come out with two new episodes per week, and we have done that consistently for 2 years, almost 2 years, I think.
Yeah, but very, very consistent. Like, you've missed one episode for the last 2 years. Yeah.
exactly. And I had what's it called in English? Like head trauma.
It was close to a brain injury, if we're being fair.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah, I
exactly.
think you might actually you sustained it. You haven't been the same since. So you
No,
might actually
exactly.
but
But
I did very like I was nice to grant you 1 week leave when you had your brain injury, and then it was back
thank
to the
you, partner.
podcast. Yes,
Thank
you're
you.
welcome.
And do
Yeah.
you remember what you said there? So, guys, this week, Christiantinho is not with us because he's on vacation. And
Yes,
I
I
was
did say
laying in
that,
the bed
didn't I?
at home with my head totally messed up.
Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed your vacation. Now it's time to come
Yeah.
back. Yeah.
But the thing is, I think the thing that is important with the podcast is a lot of you guys are listening to podcasts, and most of them have some selling in it, or some trying to get you to sign up for some lead magnet or something. We actually haven't done that, so we are taking new subjects every single week, but we are not selling ourselves at all. At
No.
the most, we're just talking about some of the services we are offering, but that's it. And the first year to 1.5 years, we couldn't really see where was this going. But the last half year, the amount of people actually reaching out to us or telling us while being in the process of going from a deal to a closed deal, telling us that they're listening to Marketing Pod, it's amazing, and we're only 2 years
Yes.
in.
And here we actually have some statistics. So this is from Spotify, and this means that it's roughly half of the viewership that we have, because Spotify is around 50%, YouTube is around 25% and growing quickly, and Apple Podcast is around 25% and declining quickly. But Spotify is the biggest platform for us and also where we see the most listening. And you can actually see the graph here, because when you start something new, and that's what we're doing with this show that we're doing right now. This is like brand new. And we know that like there are going to be 2.5 people listening to this, and we're okay with that because that's how it is in the beginning. And then we're going to get better, and people are hopefully going to be finding this interesting and maybe sticking along and seeing more. But you can see in the beginning here, like nothing, like very little happened. And that's the thing when you start a new podcast, like you have to earn your distribution, because people have to listen and then actually follow and think it's relevant for them and then start to listen more. But the thing is, it's kind of like a snowball. And when you start to get it rolling, it's just an amazing amount of distribution we get. So if we put out a webinar, which we're going to be talking about later because webinars are super important for us. But if we put out a webinar today, no one is going to be signing up on their own. We have to send an email. We have to do Facebook advertising. We have to do a LinkedIn newsletter, which we talked about previously on the show. Like, we have to do a lot of different stuff. Whereas if we post a podcast episode, we immediately get 2,500 listens across the channels because it just pops up in people's Spotify feed. So the distribution, once you actually get this rolling, is amazing. But it did take a year or a year and a half. And we did a lot of different initiatives to actually do this. The thing is, like, I think this is probably some of the best marketing we've done, but I also think it's some of the least measurable, because
Yeah,
unless people tell us, like, I listen to the podcast and for that reason I want to be a client, we can't see it. We have
we
no
have no
idea.
idea.
No,
No,
you have to literally tell us. And it happens oftentimes that I talk with new people and then I've talked with them for 20 minutes and they say, oh, by the way, I've listened to a podcast for 1.5 years. Oh, nice.
exactly.
You could have told me that in the beginning. But no, this is absolutely amazing. Let me go on to another one, which I think we're doing really well. And I think people have a tendency to undervalue how effective this is. So we're going to be talking about something we've been doing for the last 15 years, and the people think, like, does this even still work? And yes, it does. We're going to be talking about webinars. And to me, like, webinars is something that people know of, but at least in the Nordic countries, I think there's a perception of webinars being past its prime. Like, this is something we used to do. And if you take a look at the numbers, like the stats, here is a trend on Google Trends. So you can see the amount of people who search for webinar related terms. And it grew like very slowly in the beginning. And then in 2020, something happened that forced the entire world of B2B companies to suddenly and urgently digitize their entire customer journey. Obviously, Corona happened. But the thing is, like, after Corona, it's not like webinars went back to where it was, isn't it?
No, that exactly what you're showing here is a long tail you want from branding activities, actually,
Yeah.
with a higher baseline. So as we see here, the baseline is just higher than it was previously.
This is like the ideal scenario if you're running like TV advertising or purchasing a big influencer for your brand. Like, this is what the ideal graph looks like, where you see like an immediate pickup and then it doesn't revert back to where it was before. And this is also what we've seen. Like we've been doing webinars since 2017, and they've never been better than they are right now. And I can show you how we're doing right now because we've done 250 webinars. That's not a joke. We've actually done 251. So we have a lot, but we've recently started to do it in a different way. Because we've been doing 240 webinars where we did like 1 hour webinars, and that's like the default. But then we kind of wondered, like, what will happen if we actually take the webinars that used to be 1 hour and now it's 3 hours instead? Because the idea is it's going to be costing us the same to actually get participants to this webinar if it's 1 or 3 hours. But the more time people spend with us, the higher the likelihood of them actually starting to work with us at some point. And I know, Christian, you love to watch webinars. You've watched like 2 in your entire lifetime, right?
Yeah, maximum.
Yeah, so you're gonna have a hard time relating to this. But this is the most recent example. This is like a week old, and it's the second best one we've ever had. We had 1,950 people sign up to a Meta Ads webinar that was 3 hours. 1,028 actually showed up, and they spent a massive 2 hours and 14 minutes with us. And we actually had lead generation on this webinar. So when you signed up, you would be able to request an audit of your Meta Ads account by Morten and me, who did the webinar. And we had like 70 people do that. Like we literally had to filter all of the leads to figure out where to start because there were actually too many for us to handle them all at once. So whenever I see like a company, when I suggest one of our B2B SaaS clients or a B2B company, I say you should be working with webinars, and they say, oh, webinars, that's like a thing of the past. I think like silly you should know. And if it's a client, I persuade them to do otherwise. And if it's a competitor, I'm just like, thank you for not believing in
Yeah,
this.
exactly.
That's
But
amazing.
just think about it. We spent money on getting webinar participants. It's like a no-brainer to participate because it's free. When you put in your information and go to the thank you page, you're now registered. We are looking forward to seeing you there. You get the opportunity to get an audit. 70 people
Yeah.
actually filled that one out. Let's
Yeah.
just say that, I don't know, let's say that 5 of them become customers.
Yeah.
The amount of money they're going to put by or in our company in order to provide the service for them going forward will, it's like the cash flow is you eliminating the ad
Yeah.
spend
Yeah.
for it. Besides that, you have more than 1,000 people that have been watching 2 hours consuming 2 hours of your of us telling them what to do, and with our expertise lowering the barrier to contact us in the future.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. It is. So this is actually one of our best methods, both for like direct lead generation, so that's when upper funnel becomes like immediate bottom funnel, but also in order to actually keep our HubSpot lists alive, because we have a HubSpot newsletter or not like HubSpot focus, but we have our newsletter permissions within HubSpot, and we have like 25,000 of them. But the thing is, in Denmark, where most of our submissions are, in Denmark, it's like 20 to 25% of all people actually get a new job every year, 20 to 25%. So that means if we were to send not a single email in our newsletter, 20 to 25% of the list, because it's company emails, would churn, regardless of whether we send a single email or not. So we have to constantly gain maybe 5, 6, 7,000 new permissions a year to just reduce the churn we have from people switching jobs. And then we have people unsubscribing because it's not relevant or they didn't find any value in it. So it's actually quite some work to maintain this newsletter list. And webinars play like a crucial role in this.
We
Let's
have to
move
have
on.
an episode
Yeah.
dedicated to webinars, I think. Yeah,
Absolutely, because it's so undervalued. Let's move on
exactly.
to physical events. And this is not something you used to do before joining into Obsidian. What's your take on physical events coming from the outside, maybe?
It's a lot of work. First
Yes,
of all, no, it's not. It's a lot of work.
a
There's
lot.
a lot of planning in it. People don't want to have the headache by hosting these, but they are amazing. It's such a good way to meet people, see people in the real world, create connections, and give them an experience. And this experience is like an upper funnel for us because they associate Obsidian like the market leaders within each different subject that we're creating events for.
Yeah. And the thing about physical events is like it's just something else to have people there in the room with you. It's a much stronger commitment and for relationship building. So I think like if I could choose between having 25 people in the room and 250 people online, I would do the 25 people in the room instead.
every day.
Yeah. And the thing is like we do a few types of events. So we do small free events at our office where we just send out an email and do a LinkedIn post and say, hey, Shopify made this new thing. Or Mets just came with this update. Come here, like give us an hour or two. We'll get you a croissant and you can listen to some news about it. This works great. But then we do the bigger events. And we have three types. So we have one, which is our AI marketing conference. And this is like a full day conference. Ticket is like 400 euros and it's a profitable event. We do the same with something we call social ads conference. And then we do my favorite event and marketing stunt, which you're going to be participating in for the first time because
I'm going to be a speaker.
we're doing marketing BU. And marketing BU is actually really simple. And I duplicate this in so many lines of businesses because it works great. So marketing BU is where we rent a cinema because it turns out like people don't use the cinema in the early hours of the day, where it's like business hours. So it's like 9 to 12 a.m. on a given day. It costs us like 2,000 euros to rent out a cinema in Denmark. It's probably going to be cheaper in a lot of other countries, but 2,000 euros. And then you pay for like soda and popcorn if you want that. And then we sell tickets, and tickets are like 30 euros per ticket. And you get 5 talks. 3 of them are probably Obsidian, 2 of them are external. And it's like a combination of an event where you learn something. It's like it's fun and has this cozy vibe with popcorn and soda and cake. There's some networking. There's a quiz. You can win prizes. And we sell 1,500 tickets 2 times a year and fill up 4 cinemas in the 4 biggest cities in Denmark. And we basically own LinkedIn for this entire week. We own Danish marketing LinkedIn because we have so many people participating and like taking pictures of their like, haha, I'm in the cinema and eating popcorn at like 10 a.m. because it's a business event. And it's amazing. The thing is, we don't generate a lot of leads. So if we were to measure like how much revenue do we generate within a month of having this event, probably not a great idea. But if we measure based on how many people are now going to have a positive experience with Obsidian and maybe consider us if they need marketing help in the future, I think this is an amazing, amazing event to do.
And that is also why we do this 2 times a year, where
2
the AI
times.
marketing conference and social ads conference is 1 time a year.
Yes, it is. Moving on to the list, what else do we have for the upper funnel?
So for the upper funnel, we obviously also have some of the more normal things. So we have
Sure.
some reach campaigns on Meta where we just want the reach. We want some frequency where we tell people what we are able to do. And then we have quite a bit focus on creating awareness on LinkedIn. So a lot of us internally in Obsidian are spending quite some time on creating posts on LinkedIn, videos for LinkedIn, and so on,
Yeah.
because we just know our potential customers, they are on LinkedIn.
Yeah. I think prior to joining Obsidian, you weren't really that active on LinkedIn yourself personally. And then you've kind of been forced to be more active by like we can pretend that this is like a carrot thing and you really want to be, but you were also kind of forced to be more active on LinkedIn.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
But how has that been working out for you?
Now, honestly, I have to thank you for that, because I think it's like the snowball rolling. When you
Mm,
start, nothing really happens. But if you keep on going after half a year where you consistently post and you do good posts,
yeah.
well, then people start reaching out based on what you are talking about. And that is amazing. But you have to start, and just always start at the low
Yeah.
volumes of views and followers and so on.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think personally, for my own lead generations, looking aside the events offline and online that Obsidian does, personally for my own lead generation, I think podcasting is number 1, but LinkedIn activity is number 2. But I'm also very aware that I try to stand out on LinkedIn, so I'm not afraid to say things that people are not agreeing to, not afraid to use memes or like borderline shit posting to actually try and gain attention. Because in my opinion, the worst that can happen is people just continuing to scroll by and not even remembering if they saw anything from me. And I'm also recognizing that that's not the right strategy for everyone, but at least it works out really well for me. I think if we were to like sum up the upper funnel, I think those would be the most important stuff. Like we do a lot of initiatives around Facebook reach advertising and being present on LinkedIn. Those work, but the bigger ones would be podcasting because we've done it for 2 years and it's like it just continually becomes better and better and better thanks to the distribution that we're building on. And we have events online and offline that play a very significant role in our marketing. Let's move on to the things that people thought would be what this episode would be about, which is like the bottom funnel initiatives. So this is where people like think we have this one ad sending people to one landing page, and then people fill out that, and we have 1,924 of those per year, which is obviously not the case. But we do a lot of stuff to like directly lead generate, because oftentimes we have maybe a new vertical like Facebook advertising where we now have capacity, so we're looking for more clients here, or like this happens all the time. Like we need more leads within the specific sector. So what's an initiative we could do if we're looking for clients within a certain area?
Yeah, because I think a lot of people think that we are running ads into a VSL and then have a
Yeah.
funnel there or something like that. Maybe we should, but we haven't, because these things that we are going to go through now actually has worked quite good. So let's start with number one. We send out emails. We have an email list. We actually care about our email lists, where we are spending quite some time to segment this email list. So just to give you some
Yeah.
context, we have around, is it 25,000
Yeah.
permissions we can send an email out to, and then we can segment them in subcategories. So everybody with a Shopify shop, they get these emails and so on. But in there we can describe our service in a direct CTA, where we afterwards can get in contact with them. It works amazingly, but we have to be cautious because it can also be used too much, so to say.
Yeah, it can. So there's like diminishing returns by sending out emails. So if we were to increase the amount of emails a given person receives, they would be more likely to churn. And if we send more emails on the same topic, we also see diminishing effects on that. So when we have like a new product or event or service line or something and send this out for the first time, we gain a lot of interest, and that's amazing. But when we send out the seventh email on Facebook advertising in half a year, like there's not going to be a lot of interest around that. So another thing we also do is Facebook advertising. And a lot of the B2B companies that we're working with think that because LinkedIn is the B2B platform, that's where we should be advertising. For most companies, that's wrong. Most companies, that's entirely wrong. Most companies should spend the majority of their ad spend for B2B leads on Facebook. And the reason is there's, at least for most countries, so many more people available on Facebook, and it's a much cheaper platform. Like for Denmark specifically, we just received new numbers recently. 60% of the entire nation log on to Facebook every single day on Facebook. 50% log in every single day on Instagram. LinkedIn just got up to 8. So it's like an entirely different ballgame. And Facebook is much cheaper. It has a more sophisticated ad model. Like everything just works better. And what we're doing for Facebook advertising is it's really three things. So we have our reach track. We also have our event track, and events are where we spend the most money. So that would be selling tickets to our conferences or generating leads to our webinars. But we also do like direct lead generation. I can just show an example here of what we're trying to do, because we have like 10 different campaigns running at all time. And one of them is this one. This is just a pretty good example. So we have an ad here about programmatic SEO. So we're immediately trying to show the value. Hey, you'll get this rising graph and more visitors. We have long form ad copy. That works really well. Like we actually have really long ads, really, really long ads, really
And just
exceptionally
guys,
long
take take a
ads.
look at what's happening here, because the algorithm on Meta is much better than LinkedIn, and the creative right now is the targeting. But
Yes.
just to take an example, my parents don't know what programmatic SEO is, so they wouldn't even
Really?
stop
You,
or
you haven't told
interact.
them?
They know what SEO is, but
Okay.
probably not programmatic SEO.
Yeah,
But
fair
they
enough.
wouldn't they wouldn't stop here or interact with the ad. But people interacting with that and reading through this text, that is the people we want to reach, and Meta is so good at finding those people.
It's amazing. And then we send people to this landing page. And if I were to describe this landing page, I would maybe call it basic, or you could also call it kind of shitty. What would you describe it as a designer, Tino?
I'm very sorry, but I have to say kind of shitty.
Yeah,
It amazed me that this actually works, and then people out there talking about VSL funnels with upsells and downsells and so on. We just send
yeah.
them into
This is
to
like
this.
basically a landing page. Do you want to know how to build AI workflows? And then it's like a form. And then it's like a very long ad copy. Oh, see, here's a rising graph. Oh, here's another rising graph. Oh, here's an image of me somewhere. Oh, I forgot the image of me actually. Here's another one. This is like measured on revenue generated, Christian. This is like one of our best landing pages last year.
It's so dumb.
This landing page is like six-figure revenue generation in euros based on Facebook advertising, because it gives people what, like, people have probably read the entire thing on Facebook. They already know they're interested because I put the entire ad copy, like the entire landing page is within the Facebook ads copy. So if they actually click the link, they know what this is about. And then they're ready to actually convert. So you don't need this 10-minute VSL and everything else. Like, this also works. And we've generated 15 leads the last 29 days with this. So every second day we get a new lead, and it's at a very quality, like very good price for us. And we have a high conversion rate. Like, you don't have to overcomplicate stuff
No, I
sometimes.
actually have a thesis for why this works. So
Yeah.
everybody makes VSLs, and you have the B-rolls with the animations and so on, and people
Yeah.
start thinking, maybe the person in the VSL is better at creating the packaging than actually creating the product. And then we have our page over here.
Yeah.
People probably just
That
think,
guy can
wow,
create,
that guy
like, he
has
can
to be
create
good
a
at
package.
programmatic SEO because he is not good at anything else. So we trust this guy.
That's probably the thing, yeah. Like, you can kind of, you can make the packaging so nice that it looks disingenuous, I think. Like, it looks too much of marketing, and this really doesn't. Like, this looks very genuine. This looks like a developer who had to create a front end, so he
Yeah.
reluctantly did so, and he made it look like shit because he's angry. And that's kind of the story about this, but it works exceptionally well. So, like, Facebook advertising is a big part of what we do. We spend probably 80% of our ad budget for the year on Facebook advertising. We spend like a few €100,000 in total, but most of it is on Facebook advertising. A little bit on Google Ads, a little bit on LinkedIn Ads, most is on Facebook advertising, and that works out really well for us. We do some structured cross-selling as well, and then we do audits. And you've actually recently landed one of the bigger clients in Obsidian, like a top 10 client in Obsidian, and that started as an audit in your LinkedIn
Exactly.
account.
Yeah.
Yeah, why are audits awesome as a professional services
It's
company or an agency?
it's just a great way to show how you think, how you work, what your perspective is on the problems that the company you're talking with are in. And then it's a way to lower the barrier in order to get to know people. So you
Yeah.
get access, you create an audit, you take some time out because it takes time. It takes a lot of time to create an audit when you want it to be good. And it's just a great way to showcase how you would work with the case if they were to say yes.
Yes, it's like a low risk engagement to begin with. You're able to see if you can actually help them with something, and it turns out to this like really nice conversation. If we were to work with you, how would it actually look? So, lead generating using audits, and this can be tracking audits, or this can be meta audits, or this can be Google audits. That can work really well. And I just want to do like a quick detour here and show something, because for tracking specifically, we've done tracking audits in the past, and we used to do this manually. But over the Christmas holidays, we actually coded this using Lovable as a tool. So this allows us to take any URL. So we can do like obsidianagency.com here, and then people can wait for like 30 seconds where I fetch their entire page and do some analysis, and then they get an immediate result on their tracking audit. And this works so well in Facebook advertising. We've generated, let's see, I can find the campaign here. This month, we've generated around 300 people who've completed this at a cost of around €1 per person. And the thing is, when you actually go to this page and you get an audit or a result, like when you're about to get it, the tool will then ask you, would you like to book a meeting or like receive a call about your site? Or would you just like to see the report? And the price per person who fills out this form or asks to have a meeting booked is lower than any tracking lead generation we've ever done at Obsidian. Like, this has immediately improved our cost per qualified lead significantly just by saying this, like, this page, yeah, book a meeting directly, and then you can go and actually book a meeting with someone who's relevant in this. Or you can just like go to your report. But this tool, which has been vibe coded in Lovable, immediately decreased our price per conversion significantly. So I just wanted to brag for 30 seconds about that.
No, but you know what? I think actually this is going to be one of the new initiatives that we haven't talked about yet, actually.
Yes.
Because this, by vibe coding these things that we were to look at in an
Yeah.
audit, nevertheless, we can actually use that. So I could see different areas where we could create these great tools that people will well, hopefully use, but also get in contact with us. We haven't talked about this prior to this, but I think that's actually going to be one of the newer initiatives.
I think so. And we have a few other newer
Mhm.
initiatives that we're looking into doing. So, what's the highest on your list here?
Well, I I still think we should stream or go more live. We tried once, but that was
You wanna be like
half-hearted.
a Twitch gaming streamer.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So I think that's gonna be fun. No, I think the biggest one for from my point of view is YouTube.
Yeah.
That's also the medium we are creating this content for, and
Yeah.
we see a shift in the way we create. So our podcast we mentioned earlier in Denmark started as a podcast first, but I think that in every single episode we have made the last 2 or 3 months, we have been sharing the screen. And today, when you listen to a podcast through Spotify or you look at YouTube, well, you can obviously see what's going on. And I think
Yeah.
that we have to start thinking about YouTube first because the distribution there is amazing.
It is. I think YouTube is. It's difficult to say that people underestimate YouTube because it's the second biggest search engine already. It's the biggest video platform. It's the biggest TV platform. It's the biggest everything. And yet, and despite all of that, I still think people don't
Yeah.
appreciate how big it is and how many opportunities there are. So I'd love to be doing more on YouTube as well. I also think there's some potential to do more interactive stuff, and this would maybe also be live streaming, or this
Mhm,
could be
mhm.
other stuff. Like Marketing BU initially started as an event to be closer to the listeners of a previous podcast. So it might be physical events, it might be something else, I'm not sure. But I think there's more to be done with engagement. And the reason is, if you don't know the two of us personally and you see this for the first time, how do you know we're not AI?
Exactly. Look at
You
my
don't really.
fingers.
Yeah,
Now you
there's
know.
a why do you have 12 fingers? No, like AI usually creates these really nice looking and flawless models, and that's maybe how you know that we're not AI because we're not flawless and perfect looking in any way. We have a face for videoless podcasting. But the thing is, if we were to do some more interactive stuff, people would know we're not AI. And I think not being AI is actually kind of a big deal in the future where you want authentic content done by humans because we're going to have like a we're going to have so much shitty content created by
Yeah,
AI.
we already have.
We already have, and we don't even appreciate how much we have already, and we don't see all of what we have already because some of the shitty AI content is actually pretty good, and that's when we have a
Yeah,
real issue. But I
yeah.
think not being AI is a benefit in itself, and I think we don't take full advantage of that with our current medium, where you just like passively observe what we're doing. I think we could be doing more there.
We hope that this episode has given some new perspective, some new ideas. It was probably not the answers you thought we were going to give to how we generated close to 2,000 deals last year, but this was
Yeah, and we're
actually how
sorry
we did
about
it.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is the honest story. This is how
Mhm.
we did it. We hope that's of interest. We hope that if you saw this entire thing, you know that we're not AI and you'd like to follow for more because we'd be so happy if you did. Thanks a lot for watching the episode. See you soon.